It took me a while to get this build to work. I never felt confident with it until now, and it went through probably 5 separate iterations with different talent combinations until I finally landed here. Now sit back and listen, because you're gonna want to hear this if you have no idea what to do with this new exclusive named rifle talent known as Perfectly Behind You. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Be Righteous again from Identity, here with a brand new build that I've been anxiously waiting to show you. So if you're interested in builds from DPS all the way to skill, then this channel is for you. So don't hesitate to like the video and subscribe. Now back to business. The greatest force is the one never seen, only felt. A powerful and fitting quote for this build I call Ghost, a name that goes directly with the playstyle. Complete stealth mode that affords you the ability to dead enemy agents before they can even react. The purpose of this build is to remain hidden on the battlefield with 100% pulse resistance and an insane amount of crit. The burst damage you deal is very impressive. Every bullet feels like you're hitting like a truck, and it's so satisfying. As I stated, a weapon-defining talent. Because rifles for a long time have been underwhelming, but this build can make a case for viability. Although rifles as a whole still need work, let's just be honest. Anyways, if you like builds that allow you to play comfortably in every game mode from the Dark Zone to Conflict all the way to Legendary, then I think you'll want to give this a shot. Now let me explain to you the leaps and bounds I went to make this awesome build. I always liked the M16. Its 3-round burst is unique amongst the other rifles, but there was never a talent strong enough to be viable. So now that we have Perfectly Behind You, this gun is amazing. Usually it only requires 3 to 5 bursts to take an enemy agent out depending on their armor. Here's what it does. It deals damage to enemies not targeting you. It's like a mini mantis. Go figure. And initially I wanted to use Spotter while using the Technician's laser link. Can you imagine? But I didn't realize until the season rolled out that the M16 doesn't even have the capability to use that weapon attachment. So I had to completely scrap that idea, and at first I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I mean, think about it. Being 100% immune to pulse while having the ability to pulse everyone else with flatline using a rifle and deal insane DPS sounded really cool, but I had to scrap it. Then out of nowhere, I had a light bulb moment, because using rifle builds is hard in PvP in the midst of everyone else using an automatic weapon. Even when using Spotter, there's just too much DPS coming your way to win the 1v1 head on unless you're extremely efficient. Not easy to do with rifles, but overall you got to be smart about it. So using a talent that bleeds and blinds them is the perfect distraction. Trauma is the chess piece I'm talking about, and the brand is 𝐤𝐨𝐲𝐵 for the 10% crit chance for its first piece. Because I wanted this build to be crit based. No need to try hitting enemies in the head to deal most of your damage. No matter where you hit them on the body, it's gonna hurt. Headshots are just a bonus. But the talent states that it applies blind to an enemy hit in the head and applies bleed to an enemy hit in the chest. The cooldown is 30 seconds for each. This is the best way I know how to gain an advantage on players in PvP when fighting 1vs or just in general. Getting blinded is one of the worst things that can happen to you while fighting, trust me. But this talent really did it for me, because it sets up for me more damage that I deal with the backpack talent, Wicked, which grants 18% weapon damage whenever I apply a status effect on an enemy. Now the way that amplified damage works as opposed to added damage, you first have to see how much damage is added onto your build. Whatever that value is, the 20% or whatever 15% that a talent gives you will amplify the added weapon damage you have on your build. So just to give you a little idea of the differences between amplified and added damage. And this gave me the comfort I needed since I wasn't able to use Spotter with the M16. Now the brand for this backpack is 𝐤𝐤𝐤. I have 3 pieces of it: the backpack, mask, and holster. This is how I get 100% immune to pulse when adding 1 pulse resistance mod. Now you guys have to go in the Dark Zone to at least try and farm this 𝐤𝐤𝐤. Before, you had a case to make if you play PvP to not go in the Dark Zone to get 𝐤𝐤𝐤, because pulse and getting spotted, it wasn't really a thing as much as it is now. Since we're able to become 100% immune, it's more important than ever now. Everybody uses pulse. As soon as you go into conflict, as soon as you go in the Dark Zone, people are using pulse to find out your location, and that automatically takes away the element of surprise and so many other advantages that you can gain over the enemy. I remember I was in a dark zone. It's actually some footage on my past video. It's right after I rolled damage to targets out of cover on my capacitor. Oh my god, it hits so much harder now. But there was a guy using system corruption. He had like 1.8 million armor, and I didn't have my pulse resistance build on. He just kept pulsing me, just kept finding out where I was. Then he would drop a decoy, which in turn hit his nameplate. It was such a mind game, and it works like almost every time if you're not crafty. So he would put the decoy in one area and then run around to the other side, and I would kind of know he was doing that, but it was so convincing that he'd be around that corner where his decoy was at. So just being immune to pulse is such an advantage alone. So it's worth it to go farm this 𝐤 gear, and it's easy, man. Like, I wouldn't say it's easy, but usually when you complete landmarks and just, playing the DZ just in general, they're gonna give you good pieces in your inventory, and all you gotta do is go extract them. So I suggest you go in there, but let's get back to the build description. I said this was a crit based build, and Grupo Sombra is the perfect brand set alongside the 𝐤𝐳𝐫𝐭. I have it for the gloves, and they grant 15% crit hit damage for the first piece, and Fox's Prayer, so I can have that rifle damage I need with the targets out of cover multiplicative damage bonus. Some more multiplicative damage added on to perfectly behind you. Another reason why I'm using the Fox's Prayer knee pads is because my secondary weapon is also a rifle, an urban MDR. Yes, another rifle, but it's cool. This in combination with the M16 feels like an assault rifle, being that it's a 3-round burst, so I like the differentiation. It doesn't really feel like I'm using 2 rifles. But the urban MDR is the weapon I use when someone is targeting me. Better for 1v1 engagements, since perfectly behind you only works when they're not targeting you. And unlike the M16, I'm able to attach the technician laser link so that I can spot enemies at will. The talent I'm using is Flatline, of course. This amplifies my damage to targets who are pulsed. This is a great combo because nobody can really counter this. Either the opponent is immune to pulse or immune from hazards. This way, I have multiple methods to dealing damage. For the skills, I have the EMP Sticky Bomb, which is great for disrupting the flow of combat whilst fighting. It immediately staggers enemies and gives you an opportunity to take them out. I also have the decoy. This helps a ton, especially when you're immune to pulse. You'll confuse the crap out of opponents, I'm telling you. And finally, here are the stats. These crit values are really good considering that I have 3 𝐤 brand pieces which don't cater to crit, almost maxed out in both. It's what allows me to dish out all that burst damage at once. I'm going to wrap this up, but let me just say something real quick. Stealth is actually one of the best methods needed for winning. The element of surprise and stealth in combat provide a strategic advantage by catching enemies off guard. It disrupts their ability to anticipate and respond effectively, allowing for controlled engagements and increased chances of success. Without the enemy able to anticipate the way you move, gives you a crazy advantage on the battlefield. Simply put, I definitely recommend this build to anyone who likes these types of playstyles. And it's not only a PvP build. I use this in Legendary and it completely wrecks as well. Anyways, let me know what you think about this. And if it helped you out in any way, then like the video. Also subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.